When you walk through a cemetery or a churchyard, do you ever stop and read the gravestones? Do you ever think to yourself, who was that person? What sort of life did they lead? Well, I do. Welcome, my name is John Austin and I'm the Gravestone Detective. Today I'm at the parish church of Willesborough in Kent. This is St Mary the Virgin Church. I've had a quick look around the churchyard and there's not many graves here, and the ones that are here are really difficult to read, to be honest with you, but we'll see what we can find. This is only just down the road to Willesborough Cemetery where I've searched before, and maybe that's the reason they built the cemetery. The churchyard is simply not big enough, but let's see what we can find. I've stopped at this grave. It's not one I'm going to research because, to be honest, I don't think I'll find that much information about it, but it's just the sentiment behind it that caught my attention. It says to Stephen Winford Homewood of this parish, who died October 11th 1835, aged 34 years. So obviously he's born in 1801, but it's this line that caught my attention. This stone is erected by his master as a testimony of his honourable and faithful service, which I thought was nice. It just goes to show back in 1835 that some people appreciated their staff. Rest in peace, Stephen Winford Homewood. So, as I suspected, there's not many graves here in a condition which makes them readable. So this is one I've found which is clearly readable. So we'll have a look for John Burford, late of Ashford in Kent, who died March the 28th 1863, aged 42. So yeah, died reasonably young. He's got a gravestone of his own, so let's go back and see what we can discover. Hello and welcome again. Today we visited the parish church of St Mary the Virgin in Willesborough in Kent, and we discovered the grave of John Burford. Died 42 years old in 1863. So without further delay, let's see what we can discover. John, keep coming up. Burford. Born 42 years old, died in 1863, so born 1821. The gravestone said Ashford in Kent. Thank you very much. And he died in 1863. That should do for now. Gender male. Let's see what we can discover. John Burford. So he only died reasonably young. Oh, look. Someone's done a family tree on Ancestry for John Burford. But we won't look at that. Why won't we look at that? Because a lot of the time they are wrong. Please, if you're using Ancestry and you see other people's research, use it as a guide by all means. Please use it as a guide. But these are not professionals. The majority are not professionals doing this research. So I would treat the information you find with caution. Like I said, use it as a guide. Some may be right, but do your own research yourself. So we're going to ignore that for the time being. If I get stuck, I might refer back to it, see if they've discovered anything I can't. Now, where we go. Right, let's start here. 1851 census, John Burford, 1820 of Westwell in Kent. Let's see. John and Jane Burford. This looks very promising. Could be John Burford, Westwell in Kent. Parish of Rochester Town, Ashford, Kent. I don't know Westwell. Shall we have a look? Shall we have a look where Westwell is? Let's just make sure we're on the right track. Westwell. Westwell wines. Oh, there you go. If you want a nice glass of wine. I'm not recommending Westwell wines. I've never drunk Westwell wines. Westwell in Kent. Here we go. Let's see exactly where it is. And here's a little map, which isn't loading. Let's go back. Westwell in Kent. Westwell in Kent. Oh, this is Westwell wines. So we'll find on the map. Where is Westwell in Kent? Westwell. If we zoom out, can we see? And there you go. Here is Ashford in Kent. There's Westwell just outside. And if we zoom in, we will see Willesborough. This is where we searched today at the parish church of Willesborough. So, yeah. So now I've got an idea of Westwell, where Westwell is, just outside of Ashford. Right. Okay. Good. Good. So, John Burford. Where are you? Where are you? Right, so he's living in Ashford itself, in the town of Ashford. So he's moved into the, I was going to say the big smoke, but trust me, Ashford isn't that big. Isn't that smoky, actually, either. Right, John Burford. John Burford. Oh my God, there he is. John Burford, there you are. 31 years old. And you are a shoemaker. Ah, and he's married to Jane, living in Ashford in Kent, shoemaker. Where about? New Street. Number, it says 40 and a half there, but there's no number for his address there. If you see two lines, like they've indicated there, that means a different property. If there's one line there, you can assume all these people are living in the same property, but they're separate families. If there's two lines, that's an indication that this is a new property. So the family above, Enoch Bennison, by the looks of it, they're living at 40 and a half New Street. But John Burford is living at a different property, but they don't give us the number. Maybe there weren't no number. Maybe he's living in a house. I don't know. But anyway, 1851, living in Ashford. He's a shoemaker. And what does it say? This end column is where, if I zoom up for you, you indicate whether you're blind or deaf and dumb. Also, they will sometimes put in there if you're crippled or if you're stupid and imbecile. Times were different back in 1851. They weren't politically correct. But this says shoemaker, born in Westwell, West. No, he's not blind. He's not deaf or dumb, and I can't read that. West. It looks like just Westwell has been written back in again, isn't it? That's what I'm reading. Westwell in Kent. Maybe because that is written so badly that they've just filled in, they've used this end column. So there's nothing wrong with John Burford. It's simply that he's written so poorly, he's decided to write it again in there, which isn't that clear either. But anyway, so John Burford, and he's married to Jane Burford, no children, and he's a shoemaker. That's in 1851. So let's close this page. Now, if you've seen before, if you go on Ancestry, you get suggested records. So let's see what their suggested records are and see if we can follow him. Right, John Burford. Let's see their suggested death here for John Burford. Now, we're hoping it's 1863 because that's the grave that we're researching. And there we go, March 1863. He died the 28th of March 1863. Again, remember the death date is done in quarters, yearly quarters. So he died in the first quarter, January, February, March of 1863. The civil registration death index would not show you the exact month. So he may have died in January 1863 and it still say March because it's indicating it's the first quarter of the year. Just so happens in this case they've got it bang on right. So it looks like the suggested records are for our John Burford. So that was the 1851 census. Let's see, 1861. John Burford, there we go. Yep, born Westwell, married to Jane. Just John and Jane at the address. Again, no children. But I will show you to see how to search, see if they did have children who maybe never survived and are not showing up on the census. I'll show you that. So he's living High Street. He's never not even bothered filling out the top. I can't be bothered today. I've wrote it down on other records. I can't be bothered anymore. Right, High Street, Ashford. They indicate Ashford on there. So with High Street, Ashford, John Burford. And he's a bootmaker from Westwell in Kent. Jane, she is from Willesborough in Kent. But again, nothing really exciting at the moment so far. We know he was a shoemaker come bootmaker. And he's living in Ashford with his wife Jane. 1851 and 1861. The suggested records have remained, so let's look for John Burford in 1841. Bolton. Now this is an indication of when you look at the suggested records, they may not be the person you're looking for. This is a John Burford who's married to Elizabeth. Our John wasn't married to Elizabeth. Our John was married to Jane. Now, don't get me wrong, John could have been married to Elizabeth. She then died and he remarried Jane. That could be a possibility, but according to this, he's got 3 children, Sarah, Henry and James. James is only 10 months old, so you'd assume you're going to find these children on the 1851 and 1861 census. I'll click on this, John Burford of 1841, and see what it tells us. Now, I've got a gut feeling this is not our John Burford. Here we go. John Burford, married to Elizabeth, agricultural labourer. Everything is telling me this is not our John Burford. Our John Burford is a shoemaker, come bootmaker. He was married to Jane. And on the 51 census and 61 census, there are no children mentioned. Yet on this 1841 record, there are 3 children mentioned. So this suggested record, I suggest, isn't correct. That's my opinion. So yeah, we're going to leave that one. I don't believe that's our John Burford. So there you go. There's a good tip for you. Don't believe everything that Ancestry suggests to you. Now, let's go back. 1851. This was the first record we looked at. It's jumping all over the place now. These suggested records are now showing a John Burford from Greenwich in Kent. So these suggested records are now jumping all over the place. So I'm just going to start flicking back the pages because here we go, 1861. This is our John Burford. We're going to keep flicking back and get back to my search page. Here we go, my search page. So 51 and 61. Believe they are right. Death. We believe that one is right. Aha. Down here, 1841. John Burford, Westwell in Kent. Now this looks more likely. Let's click on this one. This is saying John Burford, but obviously it can just be a transcription error. 1841. Where are you? John. Is that him? There we go. Here we go. John. Now that says Burford, doesn't it? That says Burford. But it's been transcribed as Burford. But here we go. John Burford, shoemaker. So this is the correct record. So it just goes to show that previous record, suggested record, where he was married to Elizabeth and had 3 children, that's wrong. So don't always believe in suggested records. Like I said, they are only suggested. Do your own research. Use them as a guide. But he's living on his own. Oh, poor old. Well, he's not living on his own. He's not living with any family. He's living with James Barden, who's a shoemaker. Maybe they worked together. Likely, very likely, they did live to work together. Live together and work together. And this is in Westwell in Kent, and they lived on a street. Yay! They lived on a street, Westwell in Kent. And they said there might be an address in Westwell in Kent, and that is the street, Westwell. So let's close that record. So that's really all we're finding on Ancestry at the moment for John. But wait a minute, what have we got further down here? So we've got 1841, 1851, 1861. 1841, he's living in Westwell in Kent on his own. 1851, 1861, he's living in Ashford with his wife Jane. Jane, who we don't know yet. We'll find that out. But here, death, 28th of March, 1863. This is our John Burford, and he's left a will. Now, this is an index of wills. With this information, you could actually order a copy of his will. That is possible. But, okay, let's see what this tells us. 1863, John Burford has left a will. Like I said, this is just an index. John Burford, here we go, straight away. The will of John Burford, late of High Street, in the parish of Ashford, in the county of Kent, shoemaker, deceased, who died 28th of March 1863 at the said parish, was proved at the principal registry by the oath of Jane Burford of the said parish, widow, the relict of the soul There's certain words I can't say. The soul, that word. There you go. Work it out. You can work it out. You far more intelligent than me. You probably know what it says. Anyway, effects under £450. Right. So don't tell you that much. He could have left a tenner. I don't know. £450. He never had a lot, but he did write a will, so he was doing the right thing. So let's go. Right, stop there. And we've got to find the grave. Aha! Here we go with my ha-has again. This is the Find the Grave website, if no one's ever seen it before. And this is our grave. I know it's our grave. I was there. I was standing there. I never took this picture. Well, if we click on... This takes you to an external link to the Find the Grave website. Oh, accept me cookies, why not? Find the Grave website. And someone's filled in additional information. But this is our grave, John Burford. Birth, 1820, Westwell in Kent. Death, 28th of March 1863, Ashford. Burial, Willesborough. John married Jane Miller. According to this person, someone has added additional information. Christened on the 14th of May 1820, son of Edward and Elizabeth Knowles Burford. John was a bootmaker. Burial date 4th of April 1863. So there's additional information that's been found. Someone's found this and updated the records on the Find the Grave website. Interesting. So, married Jane Miller. Right, let's keep this information up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch sites and search for birth, marriage and death and parish records. So let's see, because I know this site holds records for Kent. So we've got John Burford. Right, so let's look for his parish marriage. Married Jane, and the Find the Grave said Jane Miller, wasn't it? So Jane Müller, he married a German. Jane Miller. One result. Well, if this ain't right, then we're Buggered. Or I've spelt something wrong. Here we go. Hampshire, John Burford. In seven. No, this ain't John Burford, is it? John Burford and Jane Miller. 1784. He weren't born till 1821, so that record's not right. So maybe there is no. Let's go back. It was Jane Miller, wasn't it? Jane Miller in 1843. According to, of course, 1841 he was on his own, wasn't he? If you're picking up these errors as I go along, please drop them in the box below. So yeah, there's no parish record, but there are civil records. So let's click on the civil records. Civil records basically mean after 1837, the Civil Registration Act. And then we've got 1843, West Ashford. I know Ashford comes under the parish of West Ashford. Click on that, J. Miller. There we go, John Burford in 1843. But there doesn't appear to be any parish record for this marriage. So it may be a case they got married in the registry office and not in the church. But what? Hang on, let's just change. So this is not now got 7 records. I'm saying Burford ain't spelt right. Have we got anything? No, still nothing coming up. 1843. This is the only record we got coming up. Go to advanced search because where were we? Parish marriages. So see, I'll put in Jane Miller. Maybe she spelled Miller. Maybe, I don't know. 17 records. 1843. 18. Keep trying. Keep plugging away. No. I don't think we're going to find this one, do we? What I'll do is a final search. I'll put in Ash. Hang on. Jane was from Willesborough, weren't she? He and John. So let's see what comes. No records found. Doesn't look like we're going to find it. Right, John Burford. Let's take Jane out altogether. No records found. There's no parish record. I've searched every which way to try and find John Burford married in Willesborough. Let's just put in Ashford on the off chance. John Burford married in Ashford, Kent. 7 records. We're looking for an 1843 marriage, and there's nothing there. So, although we've got some Marys in Westwell, probably relations. Might be the parents. John Burford, the father of John Burford. But we're not looking for that. Never mind. So, what have we got? 1841, he was living in Westwell in Kent. 1851 and 1861, he's married to Jane Miller, we believe, who he married in 1843. He then died in 1863 and was buried at St Mary the Virgin Church in Willesborough. Let's click on there. Right, when did he die? Year of death, he died in 1863. Let's see what comes up. Willesborough in Kent was already put in. I forgot to change it. Here we go. Kent burials. St Mary the Virgin, Willesborough in Kent. Let's view the image of that. When did he die? 28th of March. John Burford of Ashford died the 4th of April. Died, not having a good day today, am I? He died the 28th of March. He was buried on the 4th of April, 1863, in Willesborough in Kent. That's St Mary the Virgin Church, parish church of Willesborough in Kent. So, we're not finding out very much here, are we? Well, we're finding out all his information, nothing that's gripping you. What have we got here? The Kentish Gazette, Christchurch, Gorham, John. Let's search the newspapers. Always like searching newspapers, and you never know what you're going to find. John Burford. Right, we start like this, and then what we will do is date published. Let's see if there's anything concerning his death. So he died in 1863. So let's look for published dates of the 1860s. Too many records. 1863. Still too many records. Okay, Canty. Let's put Kent. 2 records. That's better. Right. Let's see if Mr. John Burford. Canterbury, age 42. Now this could be John Burford, age 42. Births, marriages and deaths. This could well be an obituary. Is he going to zoom in? Ta-da! Deaths. Ashford, March 28, Mr. John Burford, age 42. That's it. Not really an obituary, just a notice in what paper was this? Let's click on it. The Kentish Chronicle. It's just a notice of death. If you watched my previous video, you'll know that I love looking at newspapers and see what I can discover. I love finding weird stories. Unfortunately, we're on a page with just birth, marriage and death notices, so there's not really a lot going on other than them. Yeah, but I always search the rest of the page. Holloway's ointment, the ready and reliable remedy. Holloway's ointment. What's that do? Rheumatism, scrofula, and erysipelas. Erysipelas? Am I getting this right? What's that say? Erysipelas. Anyway, Holloway's ointment cures that. If you've got erysipelas, these are among the most terrible and agonising diseases, yet in their worst forms, and when seemingly incur bleh, they invariably disappear under a persevering application of this soothing, healing antidote to pain and inflammation. There you go, Holloway's ointment. Go out and get yourself a tube. They might sell it down at Boots or Super Truck. I don't know. Well, they call it snake doctors. It's snake ointment. Let's see. Is this the Canterbury Journal? We'll look on here. Where is it? Oh, gold. But then I've got my glasses on. Again, just a death notice of Mr. John Burford. That's all it's going to tell us, I'm afraid. Anything else interesting to look at while we're here? Bridge. Something to do with a bridge. Oh no, it ain't. These are stories from Bridge in Kent, from Edam in Kent, of Wingham in Kent. I thought it was a story about a bridge. They've built a new bridge. Put it in the paper. No. Nothing today, I'm afraid. No Holloway's ointment in Canterbury. Probably threw them out. Get out of it. Don't cure anything. What I'm going to do, right, let's go back onto Ancestry. So we've seen the will, we've seen the grave. He died in 63. Let's just see. So let's go back to the 1861 census. There we go. No, it ain't. What am I looking at? 1861 census. What I want to do is see what happened to Jane. So Jane Burford. Let's see if there's any recommended Jane Burford, 61. Jane Baker is recommended. Did Jane Burford remarry? Maybe. But then again, there's a marriage certificate of Jane Miller. 1861 is 1871 Jane Baker. Right, let's click on this. They're obviously, we're from Willesborough in Kent. Edgar Baker. So, Edgar Baker, a farmer. Jane Baker, Willesborough in Kent. Is this how Jane Burford nee Miller? So she had no children with John, but did she then remarry to Edgar, a 50-acre farmer? employing 2 men. I wonder. Right, we go back. Search. Birth, marriage and death. We look for civil marriages. And I'm now looking for Jane Burford. And what was his name? I've forgot already. Edgar Baker. Edgar Baker, one result. Here we go. When did he die? 1863, John Burford. 5 years later, Jane Burford got married to Edgar Baker. She waited 5 years and then remarried. Well, obviously, Jane is not working. Jane is dependent on John while he's alive and making shoes and boots. No parish marriage. So she has to get married. It's an unfortunate situation she finds herself in. A lot of women find themselves in. You're dependent on your husband dies, and then you've got to find work, which in the 1860s in rural Kent, there's not going to be a lot of well-paid work for a widowed woman. So you have to remarry. You marry someone else because they can support you. You look after the home. That's the way things were. Whether you think it's right or wrong, everyone holds their own opinion. The village of Blackmanston, Canterbury. So there we go, John Burford. Nice gravestone in the parish church. Quite an uneventful life. He was a shoemaker. He married Jane. Who did he marry? Jane Miller. Oh, of course there's a Jane Miller living there in Nice. Obviously, Jane's relation. So he married Jane Miller in 1843. He lived with Jane in Ashford in Kent, continuing as a shoemaker. He died in 1863. Got a lovely gravestone for a shoemaker. Then Jane Burford, the Miller, she remarried to Edgar Baker and became a farmer's wife. That's the story of John Burford. Again, not anything exciting, but I'm here to try and tell the stories of normal people who lived normal lives. I hope you enjoyed this video. You got some tips on where to look for information. Please, if you've got any comments, leave them in the comments box below. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hopefully I'll make this grow as big as possible. And yeah, and thank you to John Burford. You are now remembered. I will now leave all the documents up that we've just discovered and move on to the next one. Thank you and goodbye. I'm back. Before you go, stop. Before you go, I did promise you how you can search for children who may have been born and died but don't appear on any of the censuses. Now, on John and Jane Burford, there's no children listed on the 1851 or 1861 census, but they could have had children who unfortunately died at a young age and haven't appeared. So here's my tip on how you find children, basically, of a married couple. If you use the Find My Past site, because they allow this, they have this facility, you put in the surname. So any children born would obviously be Burford. Now we're looking for civil births. Their mother's last name. So her last name was Miller. So now what we're searching for is any children born whose surname was Burford, who had a mother's name of Miller. They were married in 1843. He died in 1863. So if we search for births 1853 and go 10 years either way, we should carry the whole marriage. We're covering the whole period of their marriage. and no records are found. This gives an indication. I've not put in a location of the country, so this indication indicates there were no children born by John Burford and Jane Miller. Now, if I take this date out, just to show you what you're going to find, there were 3 children. There have been 3 children born. The surname of Burford, mother's maiden name Miller. If we click on this, now I'm not expecting these to be anything to do with our John Burford. No, so there you go. There was a Burford married a Miller in Cardiff, in Glamorganshire, in Wales, in the early part of the 20th century. So, for example, if you were looking up Catherine M. Burford of 1912 Cardiff, and you thought to yourself, I wonder if she had any brothers or sisters, this technique of looking for other children would show up the 2 sisters of Catherine. So there you go. When you look on the census report, if there's 5 children included on the census in the family, it doesn't necessarily mean they are the only 5 children. They might have had 8 children. Unfortunately, 3 have died in a young age. But you can search for additional children by using this method on Find My Past. Put in the surname, put in the mother's last name, and hopefully you get some more information. Thank you. There's your tip for today. Okay, please hang on. I'm now going to put the documents up. Thank you and goodbye.